Hi, I'm Tess,
Hi, I'm Sarah, and we are.
the Happy Edit Sisters. Happiness isn't just being happy, it's an embodied feeling that starts with how we approach life, our actions, and our mindset. Everyone has a range of emotions, and that's a good thing.
Join us as we dive into what it means to be happy and how we build a foundation for happiness through different lenses. Hello, Tess. How are you?
Hello, Sarah. I am so good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's Friday. I'm happy it's Friday. We're near to the end of the day as well. It's been a good week, productive week, but a busy week. Um, And you'll appreciate this. So just outside, I think I sent you some pictures of some new flowers that I got last week. And I got something
Yeah.
called a lantana. And oh,
hmm
amazing. Amazing. I was like, I'm so old and like, yeah, but it just smells so nice.
Yeah, lantanas are great. They're great, and they're really good, like for bringing in the pollinators, like bees and the hummingbird hawk moths as well. Actually, tend to like lantanas.
Mm.
So I'm very excited for that. I loved all the pictures that you sent. It was like, oh, so pretty.
Yeah, this one I can just see it now and I'm like, oh, it's so lovely. But I am so old. How are
I
you?
yeah. I feel like plants just add that extra, I don't know. I'm definitely one of those people that like if I can buy all the plants all the time, I would. And I'm sure Michael, who is currently sitting right next to me,
Yes.
sort of isn't always happy about how many plants I want to bring into the house.
I think it's great to look at.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to do the work, which is fine. Fair enough. All right. So today I'm super excited because we have Michael, my husband, Sarah's brother, back on the podcast
By popular demand.
by popular
Yeah.
demand. Actually, your episode, I think, is the most listened to episode. I think it was what, episode one or two? Two?
What?
Episode two?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Older brother. Let's not forget older brother.
Obviously, yeah. And it's my dulcet tones. People just can't get enough of it.
And then we also have Dennis Fuchs here. So welcome, Dennis.
Thank you. Hello. Good to be here.
So Michael and Dennis are besties. Dennis was the best man at both of our weddings. Yes, we got married twice, two weeks apart
Same
from each other.
people.
So same people, pretty much the same people that were at the weddings as well.
I think she meant the same people. We married the same people. It wasn't that one wedding was one
Yes,
people.
and that's what I was adding on to. Same people, and
It was
anyway,
just so good. It was such a good wedding that you did it twice. So that's why we.
exactly. One time in Manchester and one time in Oregon. And personally, I would never do that again. I mean, thankfully, I never have to. But
Never marry him again.
but if you are thinking about having two weddings in 2 weeks, I wouldn't suggest it. It was way too much.
I mean, Dennis, I don't know what you think, but I would suggest going to two weddings in 2 weeks if they're not
Oh, I'd
mine.
say so. No, absolutely. I had a lot of fun. I just had to show up.
Me
So
too.
So Michael and Dennis, we have you on here to talk about taste. So those of you who listened to that first episode with Michael, you probably remember that he is an actor, but he is also a brewer. And he and Dennis work together to make beer. And that's why we have them on because they're people who love their beer, and that's hugely important to, taste is important to getting people to drink beer. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves a little bit more, that would be great.
sure. Yeah. Let me get started. So, my name is Dennis Fuchs. You already introduced me there. I'm Dutch, so I'm from the Netherlands, but I'm living in Spain. And here I work in the human resource department of a company. And on the side, and then Michael and I, we had a very fun hobby of making beer, and we decided to take it up a notch. So we created our own company, microbrewery, together with two more friends. And yeah, we started the whole adventure that is having a brewery and brewing beer. And yeah, you already saw it. I currently am enjoying one right now, and sadly not one of mine. But yeah, no, it's as you said, it's something that we that comes really close to taste. Of course, there's a little bit more to it, but the taste element is a big part of it, and yeah, it's fun to talk about. So here I am.
I'm going to very quickly ask you, mate, what is it that you're drinking? What style? It looks like it might be the smoked beer that we tried last week.
It is not. No, it's actually a black IPA. Read about it, but never tried it. So I found it in a shop. That actually has a lot of nice gourmet stuff. So I actually also got some little snacks with a fantastic taste. I figured it would be a good combination to when if we're going to be discussing taste, then might as well like having it having some good taste here. So yeah.
I like that. I like that. We should have all done that. I didn't think about
We
that.
should.
I think, I mean, Sarah and I both have clients later, so maybe beer is not.
Well, this is
One
why
would
Dennis
do-
works in HR.
One wouldn't do
I mean,
any
my-
harm.
It's
Yeah,
well
yeah,
needed,
yeah.
huh? It's well needed. No, but it's just a way. Of course, it's also Friday afternoon for me, so it's a nice way to start the weekend. Obviously, I will not be drinking while working. Uh, but yeah, so Michael, it's really good. It's really tasty. You'd enjoy it.
Is it a
We'll have
solid
to have
5
it.
out of 7?
Oh, it is. Yeah, perfect. 5 out of 7. Perfect score.
Michael, do you want to reintroduce yourself as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it very quickly because I've introduced myself on the previous episode that I was involved in. And yeah, Michael Flanagan, Tess's husband, Sarah's brother, younger brother. Yeah, still an actor, still working for the same company, moving on, touring around the country, still brewing beer. Enjoying the currently not rainy weather because it's been raining quite a bit recently. So I'm enjoying the not rain right now. And I think that's about me introduced because, as I say, I introduced myself. I blabbered on for a while last time I was on.
So the one thing I want to add is different. So now, last time when you came on, we lived in the flat. Now we live in a house that has a pretty big garden, and Michael actually works in the garden.
Yeah, I'm actually getting my hands dirty. It isn't like oil and things like that.
So
It's
that's
dirt.
something new.
So,
You're
speaking
gonna have
of
to
taste,
moisturize.
well, I've already started because Cora told me that I need to start
You did?
moisturising, and I need to start using things on my face because I'm looking old.
Oh,
See, older brother.
Speaking of the house, though, one thing that's been great is we have a couple of lemon trees and a couple of orange trees. So I started to make some homemade limoncello and arancello, which for people that don't know is a fairly well-known Italian aperitif where you use grappa, which is distillate alcohol, high-level alcohol, and you extract the oils from the skins of the lemon or the orange by peeling it, but not putting as little of the white pith as possible in, and distilling it not distilling it really, just leaving it to infuse for a couple of weeks in the grappa, and then a couple of weeks later you add some sugar, and there you go. You've got a nice after dinner drink.
yeah, yeah. And so like diving in from that, right? Because we're talking about taste, we're talking about, well, smell as well, right? Because taste and smell are very, very connected. How would you kind of looking at that, creating something like that where you infuse it into other alcohol versus making the beer, how would you look at the scents and how you can like get more scent out of it, get more flavor out of this?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends what you're going for. So the first time I did it, I tried a couple of different ways, and whether it was using more or less of the skin from the lemon or the orange, whichever I was using, to gauge, what was working better, whether it you wanted more of the aroma of the lemon or the orange, or you wanted a little bit of a harder alcohol nose and therefore palate to it. And you've got to play with the audience a little bit, because some people would prefer a sweeter after dinner drink, and other people would prefer something that would be more of an emulsifier and go hard on the alcohol. So I tried a few different ways of doing it, and it's the same with beer, in that you've got to think of who your audience is, what are the audience wanting, and then you just play around with quantities mainly, especially in something that's got such few ingredients as limoncello has. You know, it's essentially it's a hard alcohol, whether it's grappa or you can do it with vodka, and then the skins of the fruit that you're using, and then later on you make a sugar concentrate, so water and sugar, and that's essentially it. So because you've got such few ingredients, it's then a case of play around with quantities, steeping time, how long you might leave it to sit on the skins, and then how long you leave it in the bottle and things like that. So it's to play around with the audience, and who's got to drink it and what they're going to look for, basically. And yeah, Sarah's pointing at herself saying, "Yeah, me, I'll drink it."
I'm curious too, Dennis. So Dennis also studied psychology. And do you obviously that you're talking about your audience, right? You're talking about that's an important part of creating this. And so from our point of view, from the Happy Edit, right? We're looking at people, and we're looking at how individuals can use this knowledge to improve their own well-being. So if we're thinking about taste, we're thinking about flavors and scents. Dennis, do you think having that background of understanding people and where people are coming from really helps you create these flavors?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that you could study it. I mean, I'm sure you can, right? There are people, of course, that will study like wine tasting, right? They know what to look for. They know what to taste, what is good, what is bad, what is considered tasty, and what's not. I mean, in the end, it's of course what is good for you might not be good for someone else. So I think, and I think Michael already kind of mentioned it there when he said you look at what the audience wants, and I think it's I wouldn't necessarily say it's empathy, right? But it's your ability to kind of understand what people will like. Um, so talking about psychology, I think the only thing I would wanna insert here is especially with taste and smell, right? We often connect them as well to memories or to certain emotions, right? Just to give an example, one thing that we do a lot with beer, and when we choose certain hops. In the process, and the hops, they have quite a few qualities. One quality is the nose it gives the beer, right? So if you're looking for a summery type of beer, you're gonna try and find some hops that have these tropical scent. And I'd say that if, for instance, if you want to have a summery beer, you want to go for flavors that, of course, remind people of summer, right? So we have, for instance, one particular hops that we've been using has a little bit of a coconut flavor to it, and the scent is very cocoa nutty. I'm not sure if that's the way to say it, but
Yeah.
I think if when you're going for something like this, there's always an association people make with a certain scent, right? And I think this is what we tend to go for as well. And like I said, I don't think you can necessarily train for it, but we've all spent summers in a I don't know, tropical place, or at least in a place where they have, I don't know, margaritas or any type of tropical drink. And so for me, whenever I smell anything that's coconut, I think, this is a summery smell. This reminds me of my summer holiday back then. So whenever I'm making a beer, depending on, of course, the season I'm in and what kind of beer I want to make, I want to kind of touch on those things as well. So Yeah, I think we just go from our own experience, I'd say, and our own memories and our own connections that we have with a scent or a smell. Sorry, with a taste or a scent. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say you can study for it, but sure you get better at it because you'll realize when you make a really poor tasting beer or poor smelling beer, you will not repeat that, right? So I guess it's
Oh yeah, you'll
experience.
try not to. Adding though quickly onto the idea of it, the scent taking you to somewhere and things like that. I think we consciously have tried to always do that with the beers that we've made. In that, one scent for me brings up different memories, and it'll bring up other memories for you and take you to a different place. And I think we've always tried to mix different flavors within most of our beers to layer it a little bit and add texture and complexity to the beer. In that those scents will take people to different places, and your hope is that everyone enjoys it, not necessarily for the same reason.
Mhm.
But everyone will at least enjoy some element, and they might go, "Oh, actually, I wish whatever element it is, I wish this was a little bit more citrusy, or maybe green grass. Or I love the smell of freshly cut grass. How can I get that into a drink?" And I think it reminds me essentially of the Christmas beer that we made this last
I was
year.
just
In
gonna
that,
say
I
yes. I was
mean,
just
we based that on. I'm going to let you say the biscuit because I will butcher the pronunciation.
Yeah, no, it's a Dutch biscuit. It's speculaas, not to be confused with the Belgian speculoos. I'm sure this is a very familiar one for a lot of people nowadays. They're selling it everywhere. The Lotus speculoos cookies you get with a coffee. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Michael. And this is one of the beers I was thinking of exactly because what is the flavor of Christmas? That's not you cannot describe a flavor of Christmas. It's always about a memory. It's about a smell, when you're making cookies for Christmas, right? You're making Christmas cookies, or you're having some sort of I don't know, special bread. I'm not sure what you have in your countries specifically for this, but one thing we did for our Christmas beer was we went for a spice mix that we used in our beer um, that and this mixture is used to make a specific type of cookies in the Netherlands. And as I mentioned, speculaas, and I'm putting the emphasis on that last part because damn those Belgians stealing our fantastic recipes. No, but in all fairness, it's a really good cookie the Belgians have as well, huh? But so yeah, so we went for that one because it's a type of cookie that you typically have around Christmas, right? So when you taste it, it fits with Christmas. And like I said, there's not really a flavor that captures Christmas. It's not like a strawberry flavor or whatever. It's always a mixture, and it's always something that connects to, I don't know, a memory of I don't know, that Christmas morning when you were having cookies. And I think we tried to use that for our beer. And yeah, I think it goes for every beer we make. We it's usually something that gave us something nice in the past, or we have good connotations with. And um, I think very important, of course, is that you like what you make, right? You're not going to make something you don't like. Um, but most of the time, it's really like if you go for your own highest standard and your own highest expectations, and often enough, people do seem to, like it as well. And well, we've seen it with our beers, people seem to like them. So we're definitely hitting the right notes there.
I mean, I think we benefit in some ways in that you and I, whilst we like some of the same styles of beer, we also like very differing styles of beer. And I know that in the past we've essentially challenged ourselves to make a variety of a beer that one of us really likes, that the other one doesn't, and make it to a standard that the other one will like it. Um, I'm particularly thinking wheat beer here.
Yeah, and again, this is for me. This is a typical one where the flavor just reminds me of back home. This is a very typical beer we drink back home. So for me, whenever I drink it and I taste it, I'm transported back to back home, right? Of course, we're living here far away from where we're born, and um, as much as we're enjoying it here, we have very fond memories as well from being back home, and this definitely helps. So when we're talking about happiness, I think happiness comes also in the form of nostalgia and having good memories, and it can definitely be triggered by certain foods and because we associate them, right? We associate them to good memories, and um, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a gateway to the past when times were good. And yeah, if you can capture that in a glass, I know it make it seem like it's like we're creating, a piece of art here. We're really just making beer, but I think yeah, we're creating something nice there. A little bit of joy in a bottle.
In some
That's a
ways,
great
it is
ad campaign.
creating, in some ways, though, it is creating a little bit of art, isn't it, as well? It made me think about like whether the aim of kind of creating the beer was to kind of create stories, so to create a story through the beer. And is that like part of the process when you're mixing that together and kind of coming up with those ideas and being, because it's a very creative process.
Yeah,
Oh
you are. I
yes.
mean, you're creating stories, right? You're correct. And um, uh, hops, for example, certain hops will play well with each other and others won't. And with particularly with hops, it's mainly scent. If the aroma that you're getting from them melds well together at the start, then in general, that will transfer into the taste. And I'm gonna let you say, Dennis, how we tend to try and work which hops will go well together and
Oh, I mean, I think we're doing it very scientifically, yeah. But I think at the end of it, what we're doing, so um, we do a ton of research, and for instance, you always have a flavor profile, right? And this is like a chart that you can look up, and I think I'm not sure if it's like 10 different how to put it, 10 different flavor profiles they put, and then every hop has its own profile. And it says, for instance, this one has a little bit of a nutty flavor, this one has a bit of a ground fruit flavor. Still not quite not understanding what ground fruit is, but uh, it's a profile, right? And what we
yeah,
try to do is
pine, grass.
yes, exactly. So what we do is when we're looking for hops, we tend to use several ones, right? It's not just one with a particular taste. We use several ones, and then we look at their profile they have, and we kind of put them next to each other to see, are they comparable? Are they maybe they go against one another, right? Cancel each other out, or on the other, maybe they strengthen the other. And I think that's the part where we start, right? If we are like a citrusy angle, we try to go for another hop that is also in that area. Because of course, if you go for a completely different flavor, you're gonna have very conflicting flavors there. So that way, we end up, let's say, with 4 or 5 candidates, and we say, okay, these hops, they can be good together. So we then order like the smallest amount that we can possibly get, and then Michael and I, we get together and we start mixing them, right? And we have like little pellets of hops, and you order them and they come in little pellets. Um, and we do, I don't know, a spoon of one type, 2 spoons of the other, and we start mixing them and we start smelling. This is what we do. We smell them. Now the tricky part, especially when it comes to hops, is how they smell doesn't always translate well to how they will taste. So this is a completely different part, but usually it's a very good way to understand which hops go well together. And if we finally find that combination that both of us really like, and when I say really like, we really need to like, we really need to be convinced that this is the combination we want. And like I said, we want to put that standard up high, right? We don't want to just this will go well together. It's like no. We want to get a combination that's fantastic. And then once we have that, we start brewing. We start making our beer, and then we'll start tasting, and of course then there are more elements that will go into it. And one thing you asked earlier, Tess, when we were talking about the limoncello and how to get the flavors out of it, there's certain decisions we need to make as well in the process on how to maximize the flavor, right? It's also like, when are you adding them to the boil, right? Because part of the beer brewing process is boiling the let's call it the mix, the beer mix, the beer wort, it's called. When are you going to add certain things? What is it going to do to the scent? What's going to do to the flavor? And one thing that we see a lot, and I would say that is also a big difference between the commercial beer, like let's say the mass produced beer and the craft beer, is like how you're going to handle the beer once it's in the bottle, because the flavor can still develop once it's in the bottle, right? So what we tend to do is make sure not to touch the beer once it's in the bottle, so it can still how to say it, mature in the bottle over time. Whereas, of course, for like a big commercial brand, they need to make sure that the shelf life is as long as can be. So they need to pasteurize it. They make sure that nothing happens to the beer while it's in the bottles. But it also stops the flavor process, right? So once it's in the bottle, they stop it. Whereas for us, we make the decision to leave it in the bottle, not touch it, and make sure that the beer can still mature, and it will get a more rounded flavor, I'd say, which comes at the expense of the shelf life, right? Because then the beers, they may only be good for 3-4 months, which is, a decision, of course, that we need to make. But like I said, the expense is the shelf life. But on the other end, we're going to have a very flavorful beer as a result. And yeah, in the end, we care more about that than. And I'm hoping that Sebastian and Albert are listening. But in the end, we hope that we get a more flavorful beer than a more economic beer, right? So yeah, no, it's a lot of decisions that come into play there. But I think we in the end, what we want is we want to maximize the flavor experience, let's say. So yeah, it takes a lot of decisions there.
So when you're thinking about like the person, the drinker, let's say, who you're making it for, your audience, and you've mentioned that, part of it is creating that nice flavor palette, part of it is creating that story, where is it going to take you to? Obviously, as you said, it depends on the person, it depends on your memories, it depends on your experiences. But in general, you have sort of an image that you're trying to create. You have sort of, like, okay, this is a summer beer. We want to give you the summer, whatnot. As a person that's buying beer, whether it's yours or someone else's or drinks in general, right? Like, would you say that it's like, instead of just going in and just buying whatever, like just kind of think about, hey, like what's going to give me that, that journey in that experience. Does that make sense? Are you following what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think I see where you're getting at. And I think this is I think the Christmas beer is exactly the example then to use here, because that's exactly it. I think we want to make sure that when people drink our beer, right, they get those memories, right? They get those feelings of Christmas, and yeah, it's I think recognizing those feelings through drinking, a beer, as silly as it sounds. That's definitely what we were going for there. And again, we were mainly using our own experiences there, and we figured, okay, if we can sense it, then hopefully other people will too. But yeah, in the end of it, that's the story. A Christmas story. I feel like really pretentious by saying it here, but at the end of it, this is what we're doing, right? We're like, hey, if you drink our beer, this is what you're gonna taste. This is what you're gonna experience. And luckily, we have a product that already brings a little bit extra, right, in the form of alcohol. So at the end of that. Probably at the end of that second beer, you're already feeling a little bit tipsy, and you're enjoying it a little bit more than you would if there was no alcohol in it. But yeah, at the end
and
of
then
the
you're
day,
going for a glass of water and eating some food.
Non-alcoholic
Yes.
version.
Oh,
Yes,
non-alcoholic version.
Exactly. Drink responsibly. I think that's a very important message we have to say here.
I mean, I think we always tend to, first and foremost, what we always want people to think, and when they drink our beers, we always want them to go, oh, that's a flavorful beer. We want a lot happening in that short space of 0.33 of a liter. And we'll always start 100%, as we say, with picking out the hops, for example. We'll always start with the aroma, because this is the first thing that you notice when you open, whether it's food, drink, or whatever. The first thing that you're going to notice is, does it smell good? And often,
Is that the first or is it the second? Would you say that visually you look at it visually?
I wasn't. Yes, no. First thing that you're going to notice is, does the bottle look good? But I wasn't. I mean, once you've chosen it, because that's a different thing. Choosing your beer and then deciding to enjoy the beer are two very different things. Once you've chosen that beer, if you've got a good label, you've got something that catches your eye. The first thing you notice is, as soon as you open the bottle or the can, is it like a wall of scent hitting me?
Yeah.
And if it is it a good wall of scent, or is it, to put a visualization to it? Dennis said about mixing all the hops together, and you don't want to just put everything in and mix them all together. Visually, the way that I'd say that is, if you do just get lots of different types of hops and throw them in together without thought process going on of, are they going to blend well together? It would be the equivalent of a kid with a color palette of paints, just mixing them all together. Well, you end up with brown. And that's exactly what you end up with. You mix a load of hops together that don't complement each other, or aromas in general, where you're essentially just got a brown scent. And that's not nice, unless you want to just paint your wall brown.
There's a bit of me that really wants to just throw it all in together.
Well, yeah.
You might get lucky. Yeah, you might get lucky.
You might. But once you've got the aroma, you've opened the bottle, you've opened the can, or you've been lucky enough to get it on draft. Then obviously the next thing that we want to do is, then if the flavors are complementing that aroma, whether it's with the hops combined with the grains, you then want that to continue that journey. And then, taste has many different aspects to it as well. You've got that first taste on the tongue, the first palate. Is it good? Is it nice? Then does it linger? Then does it linger too much, or is it just cut off at the right end? But obviously you've got all the flavors going on, and you've got bitterness. Carbonation is a huge part of that as well, because obviously, if you drink a beer that should be slightly less carbonated, I'm thinking a brown ale, or I'll use it. I won't say a famous Irish beer brand, but a famous Irish beer brand.
Connor likes it, doesn't he?
Exactly, Connor's a big fan of it. I am also. But if you drank a pint of that and exactly. If you were drinking a pint of that and you took a swig of it, and the first drink that you take, it was like drinking champagne, something's wrong, and it wouldn't blend together, and you'd be a little bit off put by it. So all
I think
of that
there's also
goes into it.
Yeah, and it's also part of the experience. I think this is something you asked, right? The experience you want to give people. I think exactly the mouthfeel, as we say, this is very important there. Exactly. I think when it comes to making our beer, other than of course the smell and the taste, it's also like how is it? How are you experiencing it? How are you tasting it? And for example, like if we speak about like a Christmas beer, it cannot be a very thin beer, right? If you have a summer beer, you have a very thin beer. If you have a winter beer, it needs to be a thick feel. So there's more to it. It's not just the tasting it, but it's also how it lands on your tongue, right? How are you
It's a
feeling
warm
it?
hug.
It's it. That's
Oh,
exactly
like
it.
Olaf.
I was about to go there, yeah.
Does it have a
Yeah.
snowman hug in there too?
Do we say the name of this Christmas beer, Dennis? Because obviously,
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, because you take a lot of
I
pride in it.
anglicized it, right?
No, but go for it. You were very proud of it. And
Well, so you say the name of the biscuit in Dutch for me?
okay, so speculaas.
which to me, in my Mancunian accent, sounded like speckled ass. So that's what it became. It became speckled ass Christmas beer.
Which I
Yeah.
just think of like a little Bambi, like a little reindeer with like
Speckly bum.
Do we have to put a public service announcement there to say that there is a tiny bit of foul language involved there?
Oh yeah, when this gets uploaded, I have to say whether there's like foul language or not in
Oof,
it.
that was foul.
All
man.
right.
But I don't think
Okay.
I don't think they're worried
Is
about
it
that
like
word.
is it like once once it goes up, there's also, certain, let's say, less restrictions to the language used? I'm not gonna say anything. Don't worry about it. But just wondering, once you had what is it, like age restriction, 12 year and up, there are certain words you can start using.
This podcast is rated R.
No, I don't really
Eh,
know. I know I like when I upload it, I have to like press whether like it has like explicit language in it or not. But I don't
we
know
can
what they
find out.
do.
Fantastic. We can
Yeah.
find out. This is the one where you find out. Just kidding. I'm going to
The one with Nicola Doherty, Nick, for everyone here. That one definitely had explicit.
That really
Yeah.
surprised
of
me.
course.
So on a tangent here, Dennis and I, during the pandemic, played quite a lot of online games with Nick, and yeah, there were definitely some choice words happening there.
On all ends, not just on Nick's. Just putting that out there for everyone. Like-
Don't just blame Nick.
Ah,
But
yeah, the problem
I
is for
think
me
that
that
like
no, go ahead, Tess. I was going to say
no,
some nonsensical
continue.
stuff. No, I was going to say because of course English is not my native language, so I don't even know any swear words in English. So
Of
that
course,
couldn't have been
but I
me.
mean, it is though, because aren't you called Bruce and you come from Minnesota?
Maybe. Actually,
Um,
I'll drink a little bit more and I'll turn into Bruce.
and so actually I want to take this back a little bit as well because the pandemic is where this started, right? Like we don't
Oh
have
yes.
loads of time here, so we can't get into. I kind of wish I would brought this up at the beginning, but I'm just thinking about it now, so I'm going to bring it up now. Like the creation of this beer. Not only are you trying to create these flavors and give other people a wonderful experience, but it started because you both felt like this was a good way to connect and to really sort of bring a lot of light and happiness into a time that it was not very light and happy. You were connecting, you were playing video games together, you were trying these beers while you were doing that. And then after we were able to finally get out, you guys were like, hey, let's start brewing our own beer together. And like to me, it was really fun to watch because it was a very difficult time for all of us. And it was I could tell how much joy it brought you guys to be able to do this
It's
together.
because we were drunk.
No, but absolutely, Tess, you're absolutely right, and I think this I would say for us it started not so much because we wanted to get a certain flavor or get a certain smell out of it, but for us it was a social thing, right? We had the pandemic, which for those who don't know, in Spain, it was very very restricted here. Like we had the restrictions here were uh, intense. We were locked up in our houses for what, 2 3 months. We weren't allowed to see anyone. I think my connection is losing, right? Are you? I see.
You're back. You're back.
I see you looking at me. Ah, there we go. There we go. Yeah. So okay. So it's a social thing for us, right? And because of the pandemic, we weren't allowed to see each other, which also meant that social gatherings, they were not happening, or only they were only happening digitally. And then throughout the, let's say, the end phase of the pandemic, we had a fantastic excuse to get together, which was brew beer. And it was not just about the beer, it was also about being together, getting together. We were sometimes combining it with a barbecue, or ordering some nice food. And the good thing is, of course, once you have a couple of batches in, you also start drinking your own beer while you're making new beer, right? And there's also this camaraderie that develops. And again, I think when it comes to flavors and smell, it's always connected to memories. And Yeah, definitely during that time, uh, the taste and the smell of beer was that little moment of happiness, that little moment of relief during a time where it was very difficult to connect with people, and yeah, it definitely helped. And well, as Michael said, part of the time we were also a little bit drunk. That helped a lot as well.
Not to say that you need to go out and get drunk to have a good time. Once again.
No, drink responsibly.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
Not that getting buzzed is necessarily bad either, but you know, just putting that out there. Like, so so we need to wrap this up. But we always like to end these episodes with a little happy edit tool. So this is a tool that, you know, people can take and kind of take into their own life and see if it can sort of bring them a little bit of happiness, edit their own happiness a little bit. So do you guys have anything that, like, in kind of in the sphere of what we've been discussing, that you think people could?
Yeah, no, so for me, one of the things that, and because you asked me this before, Tess, and I was thinking about it, like what am I doing for my happiness? Anything involving food and anything with taste and smell, and I found one thing that gives me a lot of joy is, especially when I have the time to do it, right? Is to reserve some time and look up a very good recipe, right? Again, going through that process of finding flavors that I like, combining them. And what I tend to do is, I don't know, lock myself up in the kitchen for 2 hours, put on some good music, get either a beer or a wine. Not needed again, very important, because you can also do it without it, right? But I have my music on. I'm cooking. I'm preparing food. I'm combining, and I like to, go to these gourmet shops to find like the best ingredients, just to make sure I can and mix and match. And actually today I was with one of our well, I could say it's one of our friends, Pika McQueen. We had Gerardo.
Yes, I
He
know.
opened a shop just around the corner from where I'm living, and it's like a gourmet shop. So he has beer, but he also has like other product. I'm currently, holding I think it's a salami with truffle, and it's fantastic.
Ooh,
And so I go there and I go in, and,
nice.
and he has a lot of stuff, right? He has a lot and this guy, he knows exactly, what he's selling. He knows the flavor, he knows the palate, he can explain it to you. So I go, every ingredient that I pick, right, I'll make sure that it hits the right note. So I go there and he starts telling me about, this, you should try this. I just got this. It tastes like this. And if you eat it, the aftertaste is, it's going to be lingering, and it's going to give you this. Combine it with this one, and if you have it with this beer, so he's pairing all these flavors, and it's fantastic. And then I come home and I have all these ingredients, right? And I go to all these shops, and there's Kowaya, which is a local, like I think it's very famous here in Gijón for where we're living, as a gourmet shop. That they have these quality products, and so I just pair these things, and I get home, and I'm already excited, right? I'm already excited for all the stuff I bought. I'm not even sure if it's going to be good, And I'll be honest, I'm not the best cook here, but still, it's the experience, right? It's the whole thing. So I get all this stuff together, and I put my music on, and I get whatever I'm drinking, and I just lock myself up and I start cooking. And for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm just enjoying myself and I feel genuinely good. And the good thing is, and only this is a conditional one, if the food is good, after an hour and a half of slaving away in the kitchen and 2 hours of cooking. And the food is good. It gives me such a fantastic feeling because I created something and it came all out of a little bit of happiness, right? A little bit of joy. And I turned it into something nice. And then I have my family also enjoying it. And yeah, I'd say, so for anyone who's not quite sure how to make themselves happy during the day, I'd say start cooking. Find some nice recipe and just, go to town in the kitchen.
Experiment.
Love
I like
that. Get
that.
creative.
That's it.
Michael, do you
Oh,
have
you're looking at
anything?
me now. I can't top that. Mine very quickly and very simply would be, and I've been trying to do this a little bit more recently, and it would be linked to the scent and taste takes you back to memories, would be to just take the time to acknowledge memories and acknowledge good times that you've had with people and just remember them. And not beat yourself up overly on. Sometimes you may feel, oh, I didn't take advantage of that time at that point, because it's really easy to do, right? You'll think of a great time in your life, and you may also be thinking, oh, I do. You may also be thinking, oh, but I didn't take advantage of that time that I had together with these people. I should have done more or whatever. And I'm purposefully, actively not doing that anymore, or trying not to do that anymore. And just going, yeah, but it was great that we had that time together. It was great that we did that. And yeah, that would be my tool. Don't beat yourself up for not taking advantage, and accept the times that you were remembering that you enjoyed, and then make plans to replicate them again, and keep doing it. Rinse and repeat. Keep enjoying yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Keep making memories.
Yeah.
And obviously, drink responsibly.
Drink
Very
responsibly.
important. Yeah, to have good memories only.
Rennis, we're over next Easter, so you better get creative and
Oh,
we'll
yes.
come for dinner.
Okay. Oh, I gotta set myself up for that one now, didn't I?
Hey, if the kitchen is finished by then, fingers crossed. Maybe we could do it all together here at the house.
Obviously,
Yeah.
you can lock yourself in the kitchen, Dennis, and I'll go and drink the beer.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, I'll set the tap up downstairs.
Oh, it's been so lovely having this chat today. It's been amazing. Just hearing and seeing the excitement that you have and the journey that you've been on, kind of making the beer and kind of it's been obviously I've kind of seen that process right from the start as well. But just hearing you both talk about it and seeing the passion as you do as well is amazing.
Agreed. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I know at first you were like, wait, what? You want us to talk about what? But I'm really happy that you did, because this is, it's different from what we've brought on before, but I think it's also really important to show, that there's so much that goes into this, and there's so much that people can really take out of it as well. It's not just, oh, let's just drink a beer, but let's see what the story is in there. And is it my story? Is it someone else's, and just enjoying.
And
And
people
that
are
social
welcome
connection as well.
to come brew beer with us.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yes. When we're talking about making good memories, that's one of them. I think looking back at all the beers we made, all the times we got together, and for instance in my old kitchen or on the roof terrace of Albert, that was fantastic memories to make. And it wasn't about the beer, it was about the social aspect of it. And I think that was what brought the real happiness, didn't it? Not just the beer, just everything it brought with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you to the listeners for joining us in this conversation. If you enjoyed this conversation, please leave a review on Spotify or iTunes. Hit that subscribe button or follow or whatever it is. And if you have any comments for the guys, leave them on our Instagram, and they will respond on the Instagram. They will reply to them. And if they don't, I will make sure to follow up with them so they do.
No pressure.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And yeah, thank you everyone for being a part of this. This has been great.
Prost.
Yes. Yeah, Prost. No, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you for inviting me. It was very, very, very fun. I enjoyed it.
Thanks,
So,
guys. Bye.
goodbye. Bye bye. At the Happy Edit podcast, we're mindful that the podcast is not a replacement of therapy. If you do need further support, please do contact us on our contact details in the show notes. And we're more than happy to offer further support and guidance and direct you to places like the counselling directory or therapy directories. If you do also need further support, we would also recommend you contacting your primary healthcare provider. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you all soon.